Welcome back to Reality Check with Rich and Reese. That's Reese. I'm Rich. I'm excited today. I'm always excited. I'm always in a good mood. I'm in a better mood than usual today. I won't tell you guys why yet, though. I'm gonna wait until some paperwork clears.
It's good news.
It's always good news, but you know me. I don't wait till everything is 100% solid. Interesting week of sports. So we're always looking for new stories and things to talk about because this is what we do. This is that weird period of every year where in the sports world you're in that weird zone between, NBA finals are over. We had the Olympics. That's only once every 4 years, 5 because of the COVID, whatever. But in NFL, college football hasn't quite started yet, and you're in that strange space where I'm not crapping on baseball. I know baseball is a real sport. It exists. A lot's happening right now in baseball, and I appreciate that. But I'm not going to sit there and act like we watch baseball like that.
It's more of a live event.
Thank you, right? Like you can go to a game, have a good time. It's not something you're going to sit for 4 hours and watch on TV.
Unless you're a baseball
Unless you're just a baseball
fanatic
guy.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to be a fanatic. So we're at that space in the sports world year where you're like, we're anxious to get football going. You're still talking a little bit about basketball, NBA Summer League heating up. But the big thing right now, and for those who love football, you're just happy to have any games, preseason.
Yes.
Okay, so you had the Hall of Fame game a week ago. A lot of guys inducted into the Hall of Fame. Some legends, Calvin Johnson, a guy who was my draft class. I came out. By the way, I got a chance to train with Calvin Johnson, aka Megatron, for the NFL Combine, and I was one of the first people that told everybody, I'm like, this guy's gonna run a 4.3 at the Combine, because we were down at Tom Shaw's Worldwide of Sports at Disney working out. By the way, I should not have been working out there. For me, that wasn't. For guys who are already fast, it's no big deal. But for guys who are trying to get faster, it probably wasn't the best thing I could have done. But I would never forget watching him do his starts and watching his first 3 steps and being like, yo, why is this dude 6'5", 240 pounds and moving like I've never seen a creature move like that. He looked like a superhero. Years later, he's Hall of Fame wide receiver. Congrats to him. But there's games on tonight. First game, you're going to have the New England Patriots, Washington football team, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Steelers are playing, man, I almost forgot who the heck the Steelers are playing. I had a quick brain freeze, but they're playing Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. Anything in particular you're looking for tonight? Do you get excited about preseason games or you don't care?
I don't really watch the preseason games. Not until like the 4th week, because you typically have the starters who play like a half. But after like the first series or maybe 2, guys are out. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I usually watch the Hall of Fame game, and I'll watch that just because I think the layoff from football makes you to want to watch football. Also, we're in Ohio, and you have it up here in Canton.
It's a big deal here.
Yeah, it's a big deal here. And I think that you have the Hall of Fame festivities, and then you also get highlights from like guys who you saw coming up playing. So the guys who are getting inducted now are guys who we either played with in some regard, or guys that we remember who probably either just were in competitive, not draft classes, but Hall of Fame classes before. So I'm not like a real big preseason guy.
You too cool for the preseason? I'm not too cool for the preseason. Okay, I got things I'm looking for tonight, Reese.
What you looking for, man?
So tonight you're gonna get a chance to see Jalen Hurts go out there. Former Alabama quarterback turned Oklahoma quarterback. Was backing up Carson Wentz and essentially beat out Carson Wentz kind of midway through the season, towards the end, I guess, just on the fact that Carson was just not having a great year. And Jalen came in there and gave you a true dual threat.
Different dynamic.
And gave you a different dynamic. They have not named him the starter yet. They keep saying it's an open quarterback competition between him and Joe Flacco. That I just don't see. I know coaches want to make sure everybody in the locker room feels like they have opportunity to play if they perform. And that's a coach's, that's a coaching, a mind game technique, a psychological technique. Let everyone know we're all competing for jobs. We all know the reality of it is. No. Some jobs are already based on your contract. They're going to be out there.
Your contract plays a major factor into it, but I'll say
in the NFL, college football might be everybody, but in the NFL, man, that's the best contract probably.
You have to mess up a ton.
You're gonna get every chance.
You're gonna get every chance. You're gonna get every chance to mess up until somebody else has to come in. I will say this though, and there may be some reservation, not just because of the contract, but there's a difference in a guy coming in and playing behind somebody and having success, and defenses really not having a season to prepare for you. Because, you know, we go into the game, we're preparing for somebody who's a pocket passer. You know how it is in off season, you're preparing, like, these are divisional games and this is what we're going to see and these are the coverages we're going to run. And then you throw in somebody who can move around and this is a bit different. So now defensive coordinators, scouts, I was about to say GAs, but assistants in the NFL,
you already know,
they're going to crop so much film. And for those who don't know, you'll have people say, hey, this guy throws these routes 55% of the time. They throw passes above 15 yards 85% of the time. You know what I'm talking about?
Let me tell you something. High-level football stuff for the casual fans at home who don't realize this, man. We know this. When you go into a NFL week, a work week, and you have that first meeting where you're breaking down the opponent.
Yeah.
You have guys who are in that building who are paid to give you just numbers, percentages.
All information.
And defensive players especially, offensive players too, QBs especially, but defensive players especially, we kind of live and die with these numbers. If you tell me we're going to the game, we're playing Jalen Hurts, and he only throws to the far right hash 15% of the time, longer than 15 yards. If I'm a cornerback, I am living and dying by these numbers because I'm gonna play the percentages, and it's no different than you Vegas, you gambling.
And hold on, and the coaches are going to call plays based upon those percentages.
Exactamundo. So you have to understand, you made a great point. No one had really had tons of film on him.
No.
Now they got opportunity to go back, look at all those games and go, here's his percentages, here's the locations he likes, here's his launch point where he releases the football. We're going to game plan for that. And that's, I think people don't realize when you talk about the greats are the greats because you can have all of that data and you still can't stop them.
So, and let me throw you another, I don't want to say curveball in there, but how does this guy handle adversity?
Yeah.
You know, so it's and I'll just say this, right? And I remember when Zeke had came to the NFL, and Zeke had he had a phenomenal line. He goes out and he just explodes onto the scene and does very well for Dallas Cowboys. I'm not just saying that his numbers have become different from then. They obviously have become different, but people know how to prepare for him now. People know what plays that Dallas enjoys running with him. People know what he does and doesn't like. You know what I'm saying?
They have data now.
They have data now, and so the seasons after that, you can kind of see people scheme for him. You can kind of see people draft people for him. You can kind of see people prepare totally different. And that's not to say nothing against Jalen Hurts. That's not to say nothing against Zeke. But people prepare for you. And I think that may be one reason why you big up a Aaron Rodgers, a Tom Brady, are phenomenal players who, a Megatron, a Randy Moss, are just people who you know what they're going to do. And there's nothing that you can do about it.
What you gonna do?
Well, hold on. There's nothing that you can do about it with the best people in the world. Like, and that's a hard thing where you gotta say, man. I mean, that's why we respect the greats, like the guys who do it at a high level for an extended period of time, because you know what I'm capable of, you know what I like doing, you know what I'm going to do, and you can't stop it.
Dude, so like all young players in this league coming in are going to go through this. If they have any success at all, you're going to go through that phase of the league adjusting, and then now you have to take your game to another level. I.e. Pat Mahomes. He comes in, kind of takes the league by storm. Oh man, this dude
weren't prepared for it.
We weren't prepared for this kind of a generational arm talent. This dude can do anything.
You know what I think when I think of Pat Mahomes? I think of Pat Mahomes in the same breath that I think of Steph Curry pulling from 4 or 5 feet behind the 3-point line.
He's just doing stuff you haven't seen on film. If you're a defensive lineman, I've never had to watch film of a guy running left and then throwing back across the field on a rope to a dude, hitting the seam. Like, that's not a normal thing you prepare for.
First of all, they don't coach you to throw it back across your body.
They tell you not to do that. Unless you Pat Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. There's like 2 or 3 guys in this NFL that can do certain things that you'll tell every other guy not to do, and they get away with. So you're going to see now who's really who after there's a body of work to crunch all these numbers and out pops all of this data and these analytics. And I know analytics is like one of the words in sports where everyone's like, oh, analytics. Yeah, you know what? Data is real. Numbers don't lie. Tendencies, percentages. So Jalen Hurts, we're going to find out who you really are this year because you know how it is, bro. When you're the backup and your starter, the guy in front of you struggles, and you kind of get that like look in your eye, like I'm about to go in there and show everybody what's popping. And then you go in there and you have some success against a bunch of defenses that, like you said, weren't prepared. Now the pressure's kind of on him. So this will be an interesting year for Jalen Hurts. I think he's going to perform, though, because he's got the, they call it the it factor, whatever you want to call it. He can extend plays. He's a strong kid. He's physically very, very strong. I've watched him drag defenders with him. He's got that grit, man. Like, he's had adversity. He's had adversity at Alabama. He's had adversity at OU. He just keeps battling. So I know he has it in his chest.
You know what?
Now it's skill set.
I'll say this, and we can transition after this. One thing that always helps is that people's feet get them out of trouble. And your feet can give you looks like a 3-step drop, 5-step drop. Sevens don't even exist anymore.
No.
But being able to get to windows with feet placement, being able to get coverages for, you know, if you're coming from, because it's either you're going to see a hard blitz and you'll see hard blitzes, you'll start to see just from defenses shifting and you having a key for that. But you'll have extra people dropping in coverage where you'll be able to move around and find your spots. So I don't know. I think he'll have success as well.
I think he has to, even though it'll be the NFC East, and I just don't see the Eagles making any noise. I hope they don't, scapegoat him and say, oh, well, had he played back? The Eagles weren't going to be a good ball club this year either way, but I want to see him have some success. Second preseason game. This one I'm excited about. A couple reasons why. You got the Washington football team versus Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. Couple things I'm looking for. I'm a defensive end. You already know how I'm wired. I want to see Chase Young and Montez Sweat because they're going to go for the first couple series. By the way, this preseason is abbreviated. The NFL changed things, 17-game schedule now. So
I didn't know that.
You know what? So now you know. That's why we tune in to get information. That's a big deal. You lose a preseason game, which makes everyone way more valuable. Last year, COVID, there were no preseason games. I mean, this is, guys are really excited to get out there and make a little, make some noise. And it's not just guys trying to make the team, starters. I want to see Montez Sweat and Chase Young really get going early and put the league on notice that, like, yo, you're about to face the two best tandem pass rushers in the league. And at least for 2 series, I want to see what they do. Because,
unlike any other position, defensive guys are going to get it going.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
And it's a typical saying in football, for those who don't know, that defenses come together easier than offenses.
Quicker.
You know what I'm saying? They come together quicker.
There's no timing involved.
No.
See ball, get ball.
Yes, pretty
I'm not
much
saying we're dumber because we're brilliant, by the way. All of us can split the fucking atom. Like, we're brilliant. But the nature of defense is line up and rock.
And they're going out there to get a feel. You know what I'm saying? I want to tighten somebody up. I want to hit somebody. I want to come off the edge. I got to see my stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's all mentality. And so, put like this. I'm not a big preseason guy, but the funny thing is about it, I will say this. I seen Chase probably about a month and a half ago with Floyd Mayweather, right?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they were in Miami at a they were at a baseball game or something, and he was with Floyd Mayweather, but my dude FaceTimed me with him, right?
He hanging with the right people, I know that.
Yeah, but I was laughing, and I said, like, I was laughing because I was like, man, remember when I said I ain't know you? He started giggling too. I was like, yeah, I know you now, motherfucker.
I bet you know his name now. He's not just the dude with the blonde dreads.
Yeah, that's it.
Man, listen, I had a chance to sit down with Chase on the field his junior season before that season got going, and I remember just talking to him, just talking ball with him, and I remember thinking to myself, couple things. One, man, what a specimen physically this dude is.
Man, a big dude.
And I remember thinking, he knows ball. Like, he really wants to be great. Like, he's asking me the kind of questions that will let me know he's looking to be.
You locked in.
Yeah, he's locked in at a different level. So I'm excited about that. And then on the other side of the ball, I'm just intrigued to see how Cam Newton is gonna look. And I know it's preseason, but Belichick's already said Cam's going to start. He's going to play a good amount because they want to get his rhythm back, get him being Cam again. People don't remember how good Cam Newton was in, I don't know, was it 2016?
3-4 years ago.
17? Yeah. It was like 4 years
MVP
ago.
run.
He had an MVP run. I know he lost to the Broncos in the Super Bowl, but This dude like dominated the National Football League
Big time.
at the quarterback position
Big
in a
time.
way we've never seen a quarterback do it physically. You know,
Big time.
he physically put his will on the entire league week in and week out, and dudes were going to the podium after losing to the Panthers going, that's Superman, man. You can do against that man. So to see this precipitous fall off from being like at the top of the mountain, Superman S on his chest, to just looking at different points last year like a Jag, and for those who don't know, Jag stands for just a guy. I mean, and I know COVID, injuries, attrition. It'd be cool to see Cam get back to being Cam again.
I mean, I think there's more to it, though, right? I think after the Super Bowl run, the narrative in the offseason became about him not, well, I think it was a touchdown that he should have put his head down, or it was something.
He fumbled the ball. He didn't want to stick his head in there to go get the rock. It took a couple. He looked a little gun shy.
Here we go. You remember that narrative around that,
sure,
right? And that became the thing for the offseason. I think he had an injury somewhat after that. And then,
shoulder.
Yeah, but then you have your teams being broken up, right? So all the guys, and so people don't realize, and this is for anything, people don't realize how much your supporting cast, your linemen, your receivers, position coaches going elsewhere, defenders, all those things play factors. Like if you have a great defense, they give you a great field position, which basically puts points on the board a lot easier than anything, right?
Absolutely.
And, there's just a lot of factors. And so guys don't have major fall-offs. There's just a lot more pieces that may be affecting that. But Cam may get all the Cam gets the glory because he's the most notable player. But then on the flip side of that coin, Cam gets the criticism. So then you transition. So is Cam a bad player? No. Is his skill set diminished? No. But you take him over to New England. I can say this, like you're the New England Patriots. You've lost Tom Brady, arguably the best player ever to play the game of football, right? No different than the Bulls when they lost Michael Jordan, when they lost Scottie Pippen. What does that look like post that? You're trying to find yourself. The Bulls still haven't found themselves. This is since the 90s, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the Bulls haven't been
Here we go.
Bulls in decades.
Now you go to practice, you got the same coach, you still got Bill Belichick, you still got Josh McDaniels, but you have to find yourself. I don't care how great people think Bill is. There was things that Tom probably did for that team that took so much responsibility off of Bill.
Man,
like there's probably
no one's talking about that.
There's 1,000 like idiosyncrasies that these people have had with one another. There's so much like language that you just have with somebody.
It's a rapport,
Here we go. I've been in a relationship 17 years, right? The relationship a person has with a woman day one versus year 17, it's a lot of stuff you don't even have to say to each other. You know what I'm saying? It's telepathy. It's telepathy. You know what I'm saying?
You just know.
So now you got Cam Newton, and from afar, Bill Belichick has just been watching Cam Newton as a scout, right? But what is Cam Newton's practice habits? What does he throw well? Do we have the personnel for Cam Newton? Like,
how do we feature his skill sets best?
We're not a team that had. Think about this. Tom Brady never took off running. You know what I'm saying?
Bill is working with a completely different
Polar
style
opposite.
quarterback than he's ever worked with.
This is what I'm talking about.
And he wanted Cam. Let's let that be known. They re-signed Cam Newton, a one-year deal, yes, but they didn't have to re-sign Cam after last year. They could have said, But what you saw last year was they talked very highly. So Bill Belichick specifically said, man, he's the hardest worker in the building. Kids got grit, kids got toughness. I like so much about him. We just got to get him through this COVID thing. He got real sick. And then you could just tell it sucked out his energy for the rest of the season. He didn't look the same. Before that, he looked pretty good the first 5 games. And after that, he struggled. But what they're saying is, hey, we want to give this a legitimate shot. Before we just put it to rest and move on, and before we just introduce Mac Jones, we want to really give Cam a legitimate shot to be himself again, all the way healthy. And let's see what the kid's got.
So you're dealing with 2 things. I think Bill Belichick, Josh McDaniels, Robert Kraft know that Cam is on the backside of his career.
Absolutely.
If I can get 2-3 years out of Cam, and I can let Matt develop without pressure, and I can still keep the Patriots brand up here, I can still keep us a part of the national conversation around football, I can send Cam, who's a legend in football, out on the high horse and respectable, and hey, I'm going to retire, and I can shuffle in Matt Jones. I think that's their strategy. I don't think
in a perfect world they would like that.
Yeah, but to me, I think that's how you play it out. I don't think you take the kid from. I think you have to go learn from Drew Bledsoe and
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Sure.
Tom Brady only came in because Bledsoe got hurt, right?
And let's not act like Tom was Tom right away.
No.
Tom Brady was a game manager for like the first couple of years. I mean, he was a 6th round pick, came in, didn't look like much. We all saw that photo of him at the combine. Boy, didn't look like much. But he had it up here between the ears, and he just learned from Drew, and he just continued to get better every year, and he was given more responsibility as he grew. He didn't come, he wasn't like Pat Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers, where these guys just land and they're supernovas. Like, he's somebody that really built it out the mud, as the kids say, and now he's the GOAT. So you have to give Mac Jones some time to develop, which means, Cam, you really gotta.
Is it Matt or
out.
Mac Jones?
It's Mac Jones.
Mac Jones. I was calling him Matt Jones. I apologize.
Hey, look, Matt, whatever. The dude's built.
I know he played for. Look, I know he played for Alabama. That's it.
He's built like a Lego character, and he moves like it too. He reminds you actually a lot of Tom Brady as far as his lack of mobility, and that's what everyone's kind of continues to say about him. Is, man, this is going to be 2 different offenses based on who ends up at the helm for the New England Patriots.
No, but it's not. So you'll be able to tell you who's going to play based upon how they're building the team, right? It's harder to build your team around a Cam Newton than it is to build it around a Mac Jones, right? Mm-hmm. And what I'm saying is that I can go find a Wes Welker. I can go find a Percy Harvin. I can go find a receiver, a Chad Ochocinco, a Randy Moss, somebody who may be out of their prime, but somebody who may be good for me, right? Mm-hmm. You can go find those guys all through the league every year that people don't refuse to sign, but they'll come. I can go find a Corey Dillon. I can go find a Kevin Falk. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It's easy to put those pieces around a solid, sound, decision-making quarterback and run our system than it is to say, okay, what receivers can we really get around Cam? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think this is let's hold our franchise together. Let's do well. Let's draft well. Let's prepare for Mac Jones. And then we pass the mantle to him. But I think regardless of what happens, how many games you win or how many you lose, I don't think that you're going to stop Robert Kraft from giving Bill Belichick the ability to, like, Bill Belichick would never get pressure like, let's say, a coach who coaches for the San Diego Chargers.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
He has a different kind of resume. You're going to give him all the leeway.
Bill Belichick will leave the Patriots when he feel like leaving. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
That's basically what I'm saying.
Absolutely. But, you did bring up an interesting point. I know we weren't going to go here, but it's something that we might table for a later discussion when you talk about legacy and you talk about how the Patriots are looked at. The Patriots have always been looked at as this is Bill Belichick. Mm-hmm. Tom was Tom because of Bill Belichick.
Yes.
You extract Tom out of that equation, and Tom goes right to Tampa and wins right away. And you start the narrative changes. It's like, yo, maybe this was more about Tom Brady than we gave it credit for all those years. Maybe Tom really does understand at a high level how to build a team, how to the EQ of a team, how to keep things balanced, and get out there and how to execute at a high level.
So I'm gonna slightly.
I'm
a slightly.
That's worth a discussion, though.
So I'll say this, right? Tom can only become Tom based upon what Bill Belichick and the staff gives you, right? Whatever they give you, perspective on how you see the field, perspective on how to manage your game. Now Tom has to go out there and do it and execute it. Sure. But I think we need each other, right? So the only reason I say this is because I just had this discussion the other day on the Doug Gottlieb show, right?
Oh, nice.
Right. So we were talking, and I said I wouldn't be who I am, and I didn't say it like in a hey, I'm trying to get more playing time type of way. When I switched from my 10th grade year to my 11th grade year, and Josh McDaniels' father was my high school coach. When I got great coaching,
cool,
listen to me. When I got great coaching, bro. From my running back coach, from my running back coach, he used to play for Trustwell YSU, and my high school head coach was Josh McDaniels' father, but he's a legendary Ohio coach, won national championships and state championships. My game went to a completely different level based upon who was preparing me. So I'm saying that I don't know everything, mm-hmm. but it's Bill and it's his coaching staff who prepares these guys well, and then they
Now, let me right back at you.
Okay.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm just gonna. This is what we've been hearing. You get a lot of past New England Patriots.
Okay.
Damian Woody, Rob Ninkovich, all these different guys, even Ocho Cinco, and they've all sung a similar tune. Rob Gronkowski. They've said exactly this. They said, look, I get it, the Belichick way, the Patriot way, that was important. That culture was super, super important. We went there to play with Tom. We didn't go there to be coached by Belichick. We went there to play with Tom because we knew what Tom could do for us. And Tom was the guy calling us on the phone, recruiting us. Tom was the guy saying, I want you to come play with me. Tom was the guy who called, who went to Tampa and did the same thing, who called Antonio Brown, who called Rob and said, come out of retirement, who called Arians and said, I want to come down to Tampa. I'm gonna build you a Super Bowl championship team. So I'm not saying you're wrong, because you're exactly right. Coaching can take your talent and put structure around it and take you to a whole nother stratosphere. But once you're there, it's what you continuously do as that big time player. Michael Jordan wouldn't have been Michael Jordan if Phil Jackson hadn't have been his Zen master and coached him. But same with Kobe. But even without him, you knew who Jordan. I mean, Jordan was Jordan, and I think he's a little bit different example than Tom Brady because he had that talent right away. But when you see Tom leave the Patriots and you can say he's taking the Patriot way with him to Tampa, or you can say he's taking the TB12 method with him to Tampa, and he went and recruited, handpicked a lot of them guys, and had all them offseason workouts on his own with his guys in his backyard and built a Super Bowl championship squad. And you hear Bruce Arians give Tom a lot of saying, "Look, man, this without Tom, this doesn't like him. What he did. I would argue to you that, man."
So I'll get
it. Might be 50-50. I don't know.
So I think if we rewind the tape, I said it can be 50-50, but it's no different than you'll see a great coach who starts off under a great coaching tree, right? You'll see, we're the
Parcells tree and Belichick tree, and
Belichick tree, the Nick Saban tree, the Urban Meyer tree, the Jim Tressel tree. But it all
all these trees, by the way, go back to Parcells in some way, it seems like.
They all funnel back up to who they funnel back up to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so once Tom has been around for so long, he becomes an extended coach. He also becomes a player. But Tom may have learned how to prepare, how to lead, how to be a professional. So Tom didn't figure this out on his own.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Somebody has to groom you, right? I can only say this in business, right? So I was doing well in business prior to like these last couple of years. But I will be lying to you if I said that there wasn't other people that I ran to lately in business that they just help you to see a little bit further.
Sure.
They help you to approach what you're doing a little bolder.
Give you more perspective.
They help to say, hey, like I think what you're doing is cool, but like let me show you what like this other thing or how you could look at this and make this a little bit different. And so it just makes me think all the time to like
help you level up.
To help you level up. And so I just think a lot of stuff is like that. You know what I'm saying? And Tom, he's been around for, he was with the Patriots, I don't know, 15, 16, 17, 18 years, I don't know.
17.
Just think about that, 17 years.
Man, I don't even know how he's still upright, but you're right. Bill helped Tom
It's a combination of both.
To a place, but now that Tom was there, look.
He learned enough.
Clearly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because he left a place and 6 months later was back, hold the Lombardi joint, and Bill and them didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah.
It don't get no more glaring of a contrast than that. And I'll leave it at that. You know me, man. I love my hoops. I say this every time. I know that there's no NBA. The Olympic team ended up winning gold. By the way, everybody was so worried about U.S. Olympics, and I'm like, dude, that team still got Kevin Durant and a bunch of other superstars.
The best players in the world.
Best players in the world are still right here in the U.S. But Summer League started. And there's just something I wanted to briefly mention because I always like to shout out black fathers who take a big personal interest in their kids' lives and grooming them for success. You can say what you want to about Lavar Ball. He now has his other Ball son, the third son, even though he's not the youngest. He's the middle son, but he's the one we talk about the least. LiAngelo Ball had a great showing in a couple games with the Charlotte Hornets. He had 16 points one game, I think 12-something points the other game. 16 points in only 16 minutes. Was a sharpshooter from three. I'm talking about boy came out and hit like 3 straight threes, a couple and ones from three. the kid, you could tell, been working on his craft, and even if he doesn't make the team, Lavar Ball's made all three of his sons millionaires just by being in their lives, being a constant, pushing them, however he's got to push them for whatever, back and forth they might have on a personal level. He has been impactful, and I'm always kind of tip my cap to that.
Yeah, no, I think if anybody hear anything when I talk about sports or just independence and ownership and what he was trying to do with those guys, I've always had a high level of respect for him. I think people criticize him purposely. I think a lot was just jealousy. You know what I mean? I think a lot didn't care for his brashness, and I think that it just was.
He's a big personality.
He's a big personality, right? You could say that, but I can give you Skip Bayless is a big personality. You know what I'm saying?
Shannon Sharpe.
Shannon Sharpe is a big personality.
Agreed.
I think more of what was harder for people to digest was that he was doing things that were independent, right? And so
nobody owned him.
No, nobody owned him, and that was I think that was the hardest thing for corporations, teams, and everybody to digest. And like they say, usually what they say, pioneers catch arrows in the back, or cowboys, or people who push the trailblazers. That's what it's called. The trailblazers catch the arrows in the back because they're trying to pursue everything. But I'll say this, and every time I say it, and I hope people listen to this, him owning his own shoe, trying to put his kids in his own shoe. You fast forward the story. Imagine if all that stuff had worked out. All of his sons are noted. All of his sons are within the hundreds of millions of dollars, right? The youngest kid just won the rookie of the year.
He had two sons go top 2 in the draft.
So you go get you a real designer. You get your logistics down. You get somebody who's more in tune to the arts and crafting of shoes, and you get the production down. And you have a great thing. I always hate it because we act like Nike, Reebok, Adidas, Puma have never made a bad shoe in some regard. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? This is a conversation I have a lot off camera with people close to me, and it's one of those things where we always have to remember to show grace with people who are new to an industry, because they're going to have their pitfalls and they're going to have shortcomings here or there because they're learning as they go. And it was no different with. I love what Jay-Z said years ago about Lavar's shoe when he said, look, the shoe took a long time to get to me, but I wanted to support a black business. I wanted to support because I knew it takes time to kind of get through the learning curve of how to, production to go from a factory to someone's house. It takes a little bit of time to get to that point, and I respected that.
But even more than that, like just take the black element out of it, take everything, take all these pieces out of it, and let's just talk about the independence. And you hear me talk about independence all the time, just with college athletes, right? This is having the ability for guys to be independent of Nike, of Adidas, of Reebok, and just and Under Armour. Under Armour has Steph Curry shoes, right?
Tons of market
where you can produce your own shoe. These guys make 30, 40, 50, $20 million. You can go hire a great designer. You hear where I'm coming from?
Absolutely.
You can go partner with a factory in China. You can hire a team of people if you don't want to go to China yourself and partner with a factory. You can understand production. You can go buy your molds. You can go buy everything you need. You have Twitter, you have Instagram, you have TikTok. You have everything you need to be.
Sell your own product.
You can produce and sell your own product, bro. You have your own fan base. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's what Lavar showed us.
This is what, and you had so many people who were critical of this dude because of that.
That should have been saying, hey, how cool is that? That this guy thought had the ingenuity, had the gumption to say, man, I'm going to go and try to build our own brand. I'm going to try to, produce our own stuff.
So, but I take it back a step further, right? And you'll always hear me talk about this. When you become the guy who gets pushed through high school, when you become the dummy in college, you inadvertently become the dummy in the NFL, the dummy in the NBA, the dummy in the NHL. You know what I'm saying? And they'll put more self-doubt in you that you can't do this, you can't produce this yourself, you can't put this whole thing together. You need us to basically do your marketing and advertising. You don't need that, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll always have your LeBrons, your KDs, your people who are part of big machines and big factories, right? And they'll sell a bunch of shoes, your Kyries, right? You'll have your mega superstars.
Speaking of which, Kyrie's going through a dispute with Nike right now because he hates his new shoe, and that's another discussion.
That's a whole different discussion. But she was independent, I bet, right?
He does now.
So
that's why it's funny you say that.
Yeah, so you'll go through all this with all these people. There will be like there's only so many. Just like the music industry, just like every industry, there's like people who dominate the top part of a space. But that doesn't mean everybody like under that top space doesn't make a ton of money, right? If I'm a great player, just say I'm Jaylen Brown, right? Yeah. Jaylen Brown may never sell a ton of shoes for like LeBron James sells,
sure,
but he has so many fans around the world, so many fans probably from Georgia, so many fans probably in Boston that if he said, this is my own shoe, this is my thing, and he signed a long-term deal with Boston, I guarantee you, and he produced his own shoe, he would sell a shit ton of shoes, bro,
dude,
to his audience.
I got one for you. To your point, everyone talks about Nike and Adidas and, you know, Dwayne Wade.
He partnered with a company in China.
He partnered with a company in China.
Yes.
And you know how many people in China? They got all the people on the planet in China.
Yes.
So if you just crack 5% of
the
Chinese market with them Li-Ning shoes, that's hundreds of millions of dollars right there.
China, people don't understand. You can fit 3 Americas in China.
Bruh.
Probably more than that. You know, I know China has what, 1 billion people?
America, like a couple billion people.
A couple billion people.
Yeah.
America has 330, 350 million. That's it. You know what I'm saying? You can stuff 3 of these.
I'm selling stuff where it's a whole bunch of
people.
Yeah, I want to sell to them.
But this is to my point. And so they idolize American basketball and they think it's like the coolest thing in the world. And you know, but I can go on and on about independence, and I can go on and on about all this stuff, but you get where I'm coming from.
Listen, I'm going to do 2 things when we got here. The reality check of the day, and then we're going to get into the motivation. Reality check of the day. And you can look at this however you want to look at this. Because there's 2 ways to look at this, but I want to bring it up because it involves money and it involves someone getting a reality check. Dennis Schroeder of the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, everyone's been clowning my man Schroeder all week long because, you know, as we know, the Lakers offered him during the season. He came from OKC, historically a 6-man, played great in a 6-man role his whole career, and the Lakers said, we want to give you a chance to come here. We think you can be an integral piece in what we're doing with LeBron and AD. He says, fantastic. The Lakers, about 2 or 3 months into the season, said, we like what we're seeing right now. He demanded he wanted to be a starter when he got to LA. They said, cool, we'll make you a starter. And at the time, Caruso was a starter. They liked what they saw out of him, and they offered him midway through the season $84 million deal, right? Schroeder says, nah, I think I'm worth more if I continue to play well. I'm a bet on myself. I might mess around and be able to get. He wanted a max deal in the offseason, which could have been upwards of
125 or something like that. Yeah.
Million, right? He's betting on that. Things didn't go great after that. For some reason, you know, Braun gets banged up, AD gets hurt. Schroeder is put in a position that he's never been put in.
Shit happens.
Having to be a volume scorer and, you know, playmaker, that's not really what he's had to do his career. He doesn't look great in a big market in LA where every game's televised. Kind of struggled a little bit in the playoffs, was in and out of the starting lineup, was banged up and injured, yada, yada, yada. We all know what happens after that. Free agency comes, Lakers sign Russell freaking Westbrook. A lot of big names get thrown around, and there's only so much money when free agency starts for the top guys. So you'll see Mike Conley, point guard, you know, right away get taken. You see Russ, point guard, right away get taken. A couple other guys get paid. Lonzo Ball, back to Lavar. Lonzo Ball goes to Chicago, 4-year, $84 million deal with the Bulls. So if I'm Schroeder, I'm looking at all this going, no, I got to have something in that ballpark coming. He feels like his numbers were better than Lonzo Ball's last year. Dennis Schroeder signed a 1-year deal with the Boston Celtics for $5.9 million, and everyone said, man, he fumbled the bag. Even I said it at first. I thought about it a little bit. I said, you know what? Maybe he's just betting on himself again. I'm going to do a quick 1 year in Boston where, by the way, it's a great deal for Boston, who they were struggling in the point guard position. And
I'm going to give you my take on that after you're done.
They get him for the cheap for 1 year. But I don't know. To me, it looked like he fumbled the bag. I might have taken that 84 with LA because money in hand now, you know, NBA fully guaranteed. That's hard to turn down.
I don't.
You think differently?
Yeah, I think differently, right? So he's probably understood that this was coming long before it came, right? So I'm playing with LeBron James healthy. I'm playing with AD healthy. They're coming off a championship season. I think that we have another run. Circumstances happen. People get injured. Like, do I think that I'm still about to go out here and bomb and fail? Do I think LeBron's going to come back? Do I think AD's going to come back? I think these things are going to happen. So even I still believe that I won't have to shoulder everything, and I'll be within a great system to be the player that I can be, assist where I need to assist, play my defense, go from there, and I think that I'll be able to go get me $125 million. I'm pretty sure that he's had enough intelligent people enough around him to say, hey, man, you didn't go out here and do what you did when you was at OKC. Like, you may not get that deal. And I'm pretty sure that somebody may probably approach the team and said, hey, man, can we sign that deal, right? That doesn't mean the Lakers have to accept it. Mm-hmm. So they probably said, let's wait to see what happens in free agency. But look what he's did. He went to go connect with younger guys who are phenomenal, who just went on the run last year.
Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, yep.
These motherfuckers are about to go play, bro. Marcus Smart. They got a whole little crew over here that they say, hey, man, if we put a couple more pieces together, if these guys are younger, they may not be injured, I can make a run with these guys in the playoffs. I go out here, sign a one-year deal, have a phenomenal season. I'll go sign for 125. So just think about this. Did Dennis Schroeder have a ACL? Did he have a Achilles? Did he have some crazy injury?
No, he's good.
He's the same player, right? The surrounding circumstances changed.
Sure.
So Boston says, hey, let's just bring him over here, put him in a different environment, get his confidence back up.
Maybe he's a better fit there.
You just like, so it's no difference than, here we go. Players don't change, the surrounding circumstances sometimes change that makes them do stuff that they weren't recruited to do. So like, okay, will we put, like, it's no difference than when I told you about the young kid who, Wade, for Ohio State.
Mm-hmm. Shaun Wade.
Shaun Wade was great when he had all of those other supporting pieces there.
Absolutely.
Right? And so he was touted as like this great player. And then all of those other supporting pieces left, and he was asked to do more. But we were praising him based on him playing his role the previous year, not the year he had to do all of this other stuff.
So you don't have to keep going.
You get where I'm coming from.
I know what you're saying, Maurice, but
he didn't fumble the bag.
It's not that he fumbled the bag. Here's what we're trying to say, and I think we're saying the same thing, we're just saying it differently. Essentially what you're saying is Dennis Schroeder's just not a superstar point guard, and that's okay.
Yeah, I'm saying that.
He's about a...
He's a great role player.
He's a great role player. Well, guys, they get the max. Role players don't get $125 million.
Great point.
You don't see a whole lot of role players getting $100
That's a great point.
Contracts.
That's a great point.
So if the Lakers offer you 84, if I'm a role player, I might look at that like, I know myself. I know who I am. I know I'm a good guy when pieces are good. That's a good money for me.
Okay, can I say something?
I'm his agent. I'm looking at him going, Dennis, my man.
Take that.
It's pretty good money, man. Like,
hold on.
Based on what I send out of you, it's pretty good money.
Can I say something before we finish the show? Let me say this, right? Can we stop, and I want to stop this. Can we stop acting like $5.9 million ain't no money?
No, yeah, for sure. You know how I know? Because I ain't got it right now. So I'm not even mad at it. It's still like 6 M's.
So like I'm gonna just quit this whole, like everybody's like, yo.
He had some perspective to this.
Like
He's still getting $6 million.
I see like regular dudes like talking like, man, he could have had. Man, this man still got he still makes $6 million, bro.
Absolutely.
And I'm pretty sure he's made a ton of money up until now.
Absolutely. No one's saying the man going broke. No. He gonna be just fine.
Yeah.
But like I know,
84 and 6 is different.
When you're getting 6 a year and you knew just last year you could have got 18 a year, it just feels a little different. But he still has a chance to go out and up his value and do some big things with Boston. And who knows? He might bounce back for 90-something. Who knows? Take that 84 when you got on the table. That's all I'm saying. All right, before we get out of here, I want to do a quick shout out before we get to your motivation. Shout out to BYU. BYU men's football team signed an NIL deal with it's like a health,
supplement
company, protein bars or whatever, called Built Brands out there in Utah. Mm-hmm. So they're about to eat all the Mormon protein shakes and stuff. and how they did it was they gave all of the walk-ons, 36 walk-ons, by the way, at BYU. That's a lot of walk-ons.
That's a lot of walk-ons.
It's a lot of 123 players on the team. 36 of them are walk-ons. They all have full scholarships for the foreseeable future based on this deal. I know you about to crap on how much it costs to go to school. Whatever. That's still damn
I'm not
cool.
about to crap on it.
If somebody said, hey, bro, you know, you was paying for school yesterday, today is free, and you get a damn Mormon protein bar, pretty cool deal for them. Shout out to them.
I just look at everything through a business lens. I can't help it. I just said, like, this is just good marketing. You know what I'm saying?
He says, when I bring this up, he goes, well, how much does it cost to go to BYU? $6,000. Oh, that ain't no money. Bro, they on scholarship. Good for them.
So he's the reason that they did it for this reason. So people look at the story and say, this is great, this is phenomenal.
It's a feel-good story.
It's a feel-good story, but then I have to look at it and say, okay, like, what was the cost of this, right? So then this is how I break
Business
it down,
guy.
right? So I say, okay, what was the cost of this? Even if it's $8,000 to go to school, you say, okay, $8,000. Say if it was 40 players, right? 8 for 320,000. Then you give like a product deal or a affiliate market deal to the guys who sell these products. And then you think about all the people in BYU fan base who's happy. Then you think about all the bars that you sell. You think about the stuff that probably is consumed by the players themselves. And you say, okay, it's not really hard to make my $340,000 back.
Nope, social media marketing.
Social media marketing, nor become a fixture in BYU's conversation to sell more products. Now, I know that's everybody's, that's what you do when you market. That's what pizza companies do and everything does. But I just one kudos to them because they did it. And but this is going to show you how this NIL stuff has changed. Players benefit because you have guys who aren't paying for school, and that's good. So I look at the good stuff about it. Like, I look at it from a business lens. I look at the good stuff about it. It's great that they can do that. I actually buy some of their bars when I'm mixing and moving down the highway, and I go inside of So they're at every gas station or convenience store that I've been to. They have, like, you know, good products, and like this. The point that I'm making is, I look at it through a business lens, and I see the value and the marketing dollars behind that. I look at it from an athlete standpoint. You have 40 guys, bro, who don't have to pay for the schooling, and
that's a cool story.
And that's a very cool story. And then you look at name, image, and likeness across the board. Them doing that may cause another company to say, what can we do for a team? You know what I'm saying? And then you never know where the stuff goes. But all in all, I wish athletes were getting paid a lot longer than what they were now. But
it'd be nice if we had those deals. Yeah. It's cool. However, very cool. It's happening now. Yes. I think this NIL stuff, just, you know, let me zoom out to 30,000 feet, looking at this whole deal. I'm thinking to myself, man, this whole NIL stuff is the wild, wild west right now. It's like unregulated. Anything's going, you know, boosters, business owners, everyone's throwing money around, trying to figure out. At the end of the day, I think the same things that have happened will always happen. The rich will get richer. The Bamas and the Ohio States and the Clemsons will be even more richer, and we'll still get all the best recruits because they can offer the most at any given time. However, this does give schools like BYU, like Miami of Florida, these smaller private schools, a chance to really bring in some recruits who are local down there. You know, South Florida is going to keep some of that talent in Miami now because they got all these NIL deals down there. That
somebody can pay you to stay.
Somebody can pay you to stick around. And I think that's gonna be worth something. So I think the pendulum has swung so far this way, and it might swing a little bit further where there's gonna be money everywhere. And then I think the pendulum's gonna balance back out when these companies have a couple years now to look at, you know, ROI. You know, what was our return on all these investments on these athletes? You know, do we really need to invest this much here or this much there? You know, or can we invest more? We'll find out. That's something that we all look forward to just kind of watching in real time right now. Before we get out of here, my brother, give us our day's motivation. What's on your mind?
What's on my mind? I don't know. It stems from the Ball family conversation, and it's kind of the dinner Schroeder conversation. And regardless of anything, man, always bet on yourself. Like, so for anybody who's bet on themselves, you'll have Dennis Schroeder moments. You'll have Lavar Ball moments. But Lavar Ball has shown you that even though they thought he was crazy, even though they thought he was brash and loudmouthed, who has the last laugh at the end of the day? You know what I'm saying? When he stuck to his guns and kept his integrity in the process. And I think for people like Dennis Schroeder, this is a moment, and people are laughing at it. But I think the laughter may be his motivation to do
To go crazy this season.
to shoot more, to dribble more, to go from being just called a role player to an elite player. And I think that's for anybody in life. Like, there's nothing that you're going to do when you're betting on yourself. Like, when you're moving in a corporate structure, everything is planned out and everything is already written, and you're not trying to move outside of boundaries. You're just playing let me play the system and let me ascend from the system. But when you're betting on yourself, you're trying to blaze your own trail. And so it doesn't make sense moving forward. It doesn't make sense a lot of stuff that you do. And, part of that is that even when shit goes wrong, you gotta be like, you know what, I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta live and die with those decisions.
I'm cool with that. Like, I'm totally cool with how this came out. Do I wish it came out a different way? Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I do, but I'm cool that I was conscious when I made that decision.
You stuck to your process.
I stuck to my process, but just because I didn't get the outcome that I originally wanted doesn't mean that the decision I made was wrong. It just means that didn't work out the way I intended it to be. It doesn't mean wrong. Nah, you keep on going. And so, with that being said, that would be my motivational word for the day. Yeah. And that's Reality Check.
One person that should be motivated, though, is Dennis Schroeder, because let me tell you something. Miami Heat just re-signed Udonis Haslem to a $2.7 million deal. Haslem, 57 years old, just got 2.7. Schroeder, you better give buckets out to every point guard you see this season, and I'm going to just say it like that. That's the show, folks. Reality Check. Rich and Reese, appreciate you guys. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, tune in, share any feedback, leave in the comment section on the YouTube page, on our personal pages. We always look for that engagement, interaction. Until next time, have a good one.